This week, I was supposed to digitize all of Dr. Martin's patient files. I was feeling good about my progress when I saw it. A second filing cabinet, hidden behind the shelves, that I've never noticed before. Sighing with fatigue, I yanked open the first drawer. I plucked out a file from the 8th section and began to read. Oliver Dean Carla. Alright, Carla, let's see if you're in the system. I set the file on the desk, sat down at the computer, and typed her name. Nothing came up. Oh, hell no. I'm not doing all of the files in this cabinet, but I sighed. Opened the new patient file and began copying the data. Carla R. B. Dean. Date of birth 4/24/78. 7'9", 176 pounds. Finally, I got to the doctor's notes. They were written in a messy script as if in a hurry. I put on my glasses and read. Complaints of asthma. Itchiness after eating some fruit. Lungs may be useful. I stopped and reread the last line. Lungs may be useful. I shrugged, figuring it was some sort of mistake. I typed it into the computer and took the next file from the cabinet. A Mr. David Akoski, but the doctor's notes were even stranger this time. Family history of heart attacks. Large skin surface area. I typed them into the system and stared at the screen. Large skin surface area? What does that even mean? When I got to the next one, a Miss Katarina Allenson, I felt the knot in my stomach tighten. It was a file for a little girl, and it read, Night terrors ever since the 6th birthday. Mom says increased anxiety. Feet are perfect size. I rolled away from the computer, hard pounding. I picked up the file and studied it. There must be an explanation, but I couldn't think of any. I took a deep breath, then I picked up the phone and dialed the number on Katarina's file. But what will I say? I didn't even know. I just had a terrible nagging feeling and wanted to do something about it, but I wasn't in luck.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
What are you doing? I whipped around. Dr. Marmon was standing in the doorway, his arms crossed over his white coat. I was digitizing the files, like he told me to. I stuttered, slamming the phone down. Not those files. He violently grabbed the files from the desk, shoved them back into the cabinet. Then he pulled a small key from his pocket and turned the lock on each drawer. Click, click, click. Finish this up, okay? I nodded, and then he was gone. The silence pressed in. The waiting room was empty and still. I checked the clock. 4:45. No more patients would be coming in. It was only Dr. Martin and me in the office now, so I did what any reasonable person would do. I shut down the computer, grabbed my coat, and started for the door. As I hurried towards the exit, I saw Dr. Martin at the end of the hall. He was opening a door. The door he told me went to the supply closet, but beyond him, I could see a set of stairs snaking down into the darkness. The next morning, I arrived at the office at 6:45 a.m. The halls of the office were dark and silent. I reached for the light. It flickered on above me, white and blinded. I patted down the gray carpet, past my usual desk, and headed for the supply closet. I took a deep breath and turned the doorknob. Locked. I expected that. I reached into the pocket of my hoodie, pulled out the lockpicks, and set to work. Within 20 minutes, the door was wide open. I took a hesitant step forward. Creak. The wooden step groaned in reply. As I walked further down the stairs, the air grew damp. The stench of chemicals filled my nose. Smack. My feet hit the floor. The basement was dark. I fumbled for a light switch, but my hands fell on a smooth, cold wall. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and turned on the flashlight. I froze. Dozens of lights shined back at me, glinting, winking in the darkness. "Hello?" I called out. I shifted the phone. Each light moved in unison. Oh, reflections. I breathed a sigh of relief. Tall shelves stretched the length of the room, creating narrow, shadowy aisles that led to the back. The shelves were stacked with glass bottles of all shapes and sizes, filled with murky liquid. Each one reflected my light, like a multifaceted eye of some gigantic bug. I slipped down the aisle. The silence pressed in. The shadows shifted and flickered with each bouncing step. Finally, after what seemed like forever, I made it to the back of the room. I froze. Standing before me was a gurney. Its metal parts were caked with rust. The mattress was ridden with holes. Little bits of plush filling spilled out onto the floor. It looked like it had been taken or stolen from a hospital decades ago. But that wasn't the worst part. On it was a body, covered in a white-stained sheet. My heart pounded in my chest. He's keeping a body down here? Terrible images filled my head. Dr. Martin killing people, stealing from the morgue, botching autopsies. And those notes about the skin, the feet. I need to know. I grabbed the edge of the sheet and yanked it off. A young man stared back at me, eyes glassy and still. Jagged stitches marred his skin, but in a way that suggested precision rather than accident. They neatly circled his eyes, trailed across his chest, covered his wrist. My eyes trailed down to his hips, his scarred legs. He had no feet. I shrieked and jumped back. Clang! I whipped around. My feet had collided with a metal rolling tray. On it was a piece of paper stained and slightly crumbled. I picked it up and began to read. 6 foot to 6'4", large feet, excellent lung capacity, blue eyes, if in stock, rush delivery, and in a little box in the lower right-hand corner, order placed October 5, 2018. The page fluttered to the floor. I don't know how long I'd stood there, heart pounding, mind racing. All I know is a deep clang jolted me from my thoughts, along with Dr. Martin's whistling. I took a slow, careful step back. The white beam of flashlight swept over the room. I cowered behind the shelf, up against the cold glass. Thump, thump, thump. Dr. Martin's heavy footsteps grew louder. I slipped around into the next aisle, crouching. I peered between the jars, watching his large silhouette come into view. His flashlight swept over the shelves, slowly, methodically, as if it was looking for one in particular. The murky liquid in each side was illuminated with a bright, penetrating light. Suspended in each one was something dark, misshapen, and terribly human. I let out a whimper. The footsteps stopped. Dr. Martin whipped around. "Hello?" His voice was angry, loud. The jars rattled under his volume. I took off running. "Hey, get back here!" I ran towards the stairs as fast as I could. The wind rustled in my ears. The endless rows of jars flashed by me in the shadows. My feet hit the stairs. I took them 2 at a time. Slap, slap, slap. Dr. Martin scrambled up after me, clumsily. His whiz echoed off the concrete. I reached the door and ran out into the parking lot. As I peeled out onto the road, I didn't look back.